大家都知道好的习惯很好开始，却很难持续。那在我看了《原子习惯 Atomic Habit》这本书之后，希望能够透过作者分享的技巧来帮助大家如何拟定持久的学习习惯。Hello， 欢迎来到 Executive Plus 主管双语沟通力的 podcast。我们希望带给大家最实用的沟通工具，包括了成功人士对全球市场的分享、职场英语的技能、跨文化沟通技巧与其他能帮助您成为出色领导者的工具。Hi, I'm Sherry, founder of Executive Plus. As a language trainer and certified coach, I've trained hundreds of managers from Fortune 500 companies such as Dior, Google, Deloitte, and Yahoo.
And I'm Nick, Director of Communication Strategy at Presentality. I've helped startups raise millions of US dollars in funding and train the executives of publicly listed companies to present on the global stage.
Welcome to the Executive Plus podcast,
where you can take your communication and language skills from good to great. Hey everyone, welcome back to Executive Plus podcast episode 47. This week is all about habits, how to make them, how to break them, and how to use them to improve your workflow. Today, we want to start off by talking about how do we make better habits. A lot of people are getting back into gear after the Chinese New Year holiday, kids are going back to school, and we're getting back into our daily routine. Which means now is the best time ever to really look at our habits when it comes to language learning and professional growth.
那说到这个习惯，我们今天特别要来讲就是这个所谓的原子习惯 Atomic Habit。 那可能有很多人已经知道是有一本书，它就是 Atomic Habit by James Clear。 那这本书不管是英文或中文，它其实目前上都还蛮畅销的。那这本书它真的有非常多的一些我觉得蛮 life changing 的一些 idea， 也就是讲到说我们的习惯你可以从非常小很细微的开始。
Alright, when listening to you talk about this book, or when I've looked at other habit books like The Power of Habit, often strikes me at how many routines we have in our day, or how many habits that we have that we don't necessarily think about, but it's just something that we developed and we just go over all the time.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. It's like every morning when I wake up, I go through the exact same series of actions, like without fail. And it's not something that I think about or I consciously do. It's just my option. So it's, for me, is I usually wake up, I go and open the blinds to get more sunlight into the room. And then the first thing that I'll do is I'll make my bed, and then I will pack all my stuff for a day, and then I'll go jump in the shower. But it's always in that order. And for me, as you know, I tend to be a bit of a neat freak. And it's that idea that I really like to start my day where everything seems in place. So that's why it's like bed gets made. I have a CPAP machine to stop me from snoring. I will pack that thing away, even though, you know, it's totally reasonable to leave it out, but I will pack it up. I will put it away. My nightstand will get totally straightened out, and I will go through all of this before I get into the shower.
So according to the book of Atomic Habits, 那这个书里面就有讲到说，当人他做任何的行为的时候，或一个习惯的时候，他有这个操作感，也就是4个步骤。So what Nick just said, 他跟我们分享他早上的这个 routine， 他其实就完成了这4个步骤。他的 cue 提示，也就是 open his eyes, it's in the morning, it's bright。那再接下来也就是我们的 craving， 也就是渴望。所以刚刚 Nick 有讲到他是一个 neat freak， 所以他很希望这种非常 organized 非常干净的房间。 So that's his craving. So 他就会 response， 那他的 response 回应就是赶快把他的房间啊，把他的床整理好啊，床头都整理好， things packed away。 那最后他的 reward 就是他when he leaves the house， 他有个非常的 非常干净、非常整齐的房间，那他回家的时候也会看到一个非常干净跟整齐的房间。
Yeah, like to walk in and know that it's space. And people respond like my desk at work is always the same too. Like I cannot leave my desk in disarray.
So 我们刚刚如果用这个 cue, craving, response, reward, 这是我们所有的习惯都是有这样子4个步骤。那所以这个作者 James Clear 他就 create 4 laws of creating a habit based on these 4 different steps. So there are 4 laws, 4个法则。Number 1, you make it obvious. Number 2, you make it attractive. Number 3, you make it easy. And number 4, you make it satisfying.
So, based on these 4 laws, he really lays out simple ways to build up your habits in order to make them easier for you to implement in your life. Now, let's take a look at the first one, make it obvious. Now, that sounds like it should be obvious, but a lot of times when we're building habits, we make it very complicated. We make it really convoluted, like how we're going to get that, or it's like, I want to work out, and then I'll make this insane half-year-long plan that doesn't really tell me how to get through step 1.
Yeah, exactly. So making it obvious, 让它非常的明显，也就是你要在你的生活中找出 exactly 什么时候跟在哪里来可以做这样子的 habit.
So it's just a behavior based on a certain time at a location. That's all you need to do. For me, I actually saw this was something that I had to do. I used to be a really voracious reader. I loved to read. I would consume books nonstop. But I went through this kind of weird lull where I stopped reading the amount of books that I wanted to, and my Audible library, my Kindle library, and my physical book piles just got huge, and I felt I was making no progress. And in order to fix that, it wasn't like I got to read 100 books. It became as simple as every night at 12 o'clock, I will put away everything else, my phone, iPad, etc., and I will just read until I fall asleep. So it became very simple. At 12 o'clock, when I'm in bed, put everything else away and just read. And that really got me back into that habit of becoming a more avid reader.
So I guess, 如果你是在学习语言，好了 you know, you're learning English, 那你也可以把这种很简单的这种习惯的方式，把它 put in that to use in your life. For example, you know, listen to this podcast. 我相信大家已经有一个 routine. 可能是你早上上班的时候，你一进 MRT, you know, you can say that, oh, after I get into MRT, I turn on the EP podcast.
And it's just a very simple step where you're using that cue of as soon as I get on the MRT, I just drop on my headphones and I start the podcast. And then it becomes innate. You don't have to think about it. You just do it.
Right. 所以之后你可能就会把这个在 MRT 里面跟 podcast 这两件事情，你就做一个 connection. Yeah.
Right.
All right, so the second law, which is make it attractive. 因为大家都有 cravings 嘛，所以 you have to make it really attractive, 让它变成一个真的会让你很 looking for, 会很渴望想去做的一件事情。
Making it attractive can also be tied to things that you enjoy in your day. The example that I like to talk about is when I was young and my mom wanted to enforce that I should wash and fold my own clothes, one of the ways that they sort of incentivized me is as long as I was folding clothes, I could watch like a movie or I could watch TV. Now, in general, in my house, I actually wasn't allowed to watch that much TV every day. And so that was a big incentive to me, like knowing that, okay, I can put on a movie and then I can fold clothes. It made it something like taking a mundane habit that I don't really care for and bringing it out. And that's something that I use now. It's very easy to sit down and totally get lost in Netflix for several hours. But for me now, if I want to watch a show that's kind of mindless or that I've seen a lot of times, like Friends or Big Bang Theory, I'll put it on and that becomes my cue to start folding clothes, doing laundry, cleaning the apartment, because that's my way of making it attractive. Like I don't really want to fold, but you know what? I got to put on some TV, background noise, and go.
Right. I think for me, I go to ballet every week for the past 2 years. 我很喜欢跳芭蕾，但是 honestly 有的时候就是非常的困难。You know, it's really hard for you to drag yourself to go to workout, right? You know, 有的时候很冷啊，非常湿冷啊， you just don't want to work out. But I make a habit that I love coffee. So before I go to my ballet class, 我一定都会先去买一杯咖啡。So I that's something that's really attractive to me, getting a cup of coffee. 然后我就会 bundle that into with my habit that I want to create, which is going to ballet class, just to get me there to ballet class. So the coffee is always next to my ballet studio so that I have to get there to get it.
So this can become a habit that when people either language learning or they're trying to improve their professional development is tie it to something that you enjoy doing. Or, like in your case, incentivize you some way that, all right, before I sit down and I study English, I'm going to treat myself in some way. Like I'm going to get some hot chocolate or I'm going to get something that I really enjoy to snack on so that I tie these two things together.
Exactly, yeah. So now the third law, which is make it easy. 那这个部分我觉得很多人想说 What do you mean make it easy? You know, think about workout. 有很多人去健身房运动，然后你就会发现你没有办法持久，因为你真的是有的时候就是身体不想要听你的话 Your body just doesn't want to work out. So how do you make things easy for you?
For example, in the book, he actually talks about telling people to go work out for just 2 minutes, which seems insane. Like put yourself together, go down to the gym or go outside, prepare for a run or a jog, and you only get 2 minutes. And they enforce 2 minutes. But the reason is because there's no excuse for it. Like 2 minutes is just not a massive amount of your day. So creating that habit, and what happens is your body will just go, well, no, I need more than 2 minutes. Like I didn't get anything out of this. I need to keep going. But you start with that very constrained, very simple. You know, one of the things that I got into, because I'm a bit of a nerd, is I have the Nintendo Switch fitness game. And, you know, a lot of times people talk about timing their workout in terms of 10 minutes or 20 minutes. But for me, when I was trying to build that habit of working out, it was just one level. And eventually that just seemed crazy because like I put everything together, I'd work out, one level would take like 5 minutes. But just saying, okay, only one level, very simple, eventually turned into, okay, I will complete a certain amount of exercise that was more useful.
So how many levels would you do?
Well, now it ends up turning into one stage, which is typically 4 to 5 levels, and it roughly turns out to be a 20 or 30-minute workout, which is more reasonable as far as working out. But if I had started with, okay, 1 hour a day or half an hour a day, there's no way I would get into it.
Right. 那有很多学生他们想要去 develop 就是那种书写英语啊，书写的一些这种 ability。那他们都会说 Okay, I need to write a paragraph or I need to write an article a day. 那其实对他们来讲 it's a very daunting task, you know. 你刚开始尤其是你还在学这个语言，你不是那么的 comfortable 的时候，没有人能够一坐下来就可以写非常的多，或写非常流利。So这个时候你就是说2分钟，我就只要写2分钟就好，然后就停。到你做了很多次之后，你就会发现你觉得2分钟好像不够了，你就会慢慢的加时间。So you go from 2 minutes, 你 go from to 5 minutes and then to 10 minutes, right? Just kind of incrementally add that time to that.
Right. And the other dimension of make it easy is to remove the excuse from yourself, which means before I talked about my habit of reading. Well, guess what? My book and my Kindle are on my nightstand.
Yeah.
And they have to be because when it comes to building that habit, if it's, you know, in my backpack, if it's in a different room, I can always come up with excuses like, oh, you know, I don't want to get out of bed and go get it. But when it's right there, it's as simple as pick it up.
Right.
So same when you're studying, not packing away all your English books in some unknown location where you have to go drag it out, but actually whatever it is you want to study or whatever it is you want to do, just have it queued up. So there's no thinking, there's no action, it's just start.
这也就是作者在书中有讲的，就是减少那个阻力 reduce the friction. 所以当你要写一个作业，比如说你就把你想要写这个英语嘛，你想要把它这个 writing 把它建立起来，那你就把这个 notepad 放在你桌子上，就你会一直看到它，所以你没有任何的 excuse 就是说I don't feel like getting that, right? It's right in front of you.
So the last of the 4 laws is make it satisfying. Make it satisfying has to do with you need to be able to look at your habits in the long run, whether it's tracking or whether it's looking back and having a simple way to see your progress. You know, there's a million apps on your phone now that help you track things, or again, if you write it all down, like for me, for every book that I have finished in my Kindle, for say, there's actually a red section, which means I can look and see, you know, how many dozens of books that I've finished and go, oh, wow, I have actually accomplished quite a bit.
所以这也是为你有非常多学生蛮喜欢用一些英语学习的 app， 因为这些 app 它有一些小小的功能，就让你去 track 你学习的一些 progress 跟效果。You know, I think it could be an app. 如果你是很喜欢贴纸的人 just like kids. So for any kids, if you tell them you finish your homework, you give them 3 stickers. They will love that. 他们超级喜欢 collect stickers.
So you go buy gold stars
Exactly.
for yourself.
他们 sticker, you know, 20个 sticker 你就可以换什么东西，然后换一个 big gold star， 然后5 gold star 你又可以换什么东西，所以你可以给自己去建立这种奖赏自己的一种方式，而且你可以让你看得到。So that's what it means by making it satisfying, is that you can actually see your results.
And this goes back to one of the things you were discussing earlier. It's like if I'm developing a writing habit, by even starting with those very simple sentences or paragraphs and maybe moving on to journals, you can go back and look at your progress as a whole. If you're someone who wants to make the habit out of just writing better emails, go back, watch your progress of your emails. Another way that happens is previously when I ran a co-working space, the way that it ended wasn't as satisfying as my partner and I would want to be. And a lot of times my partner would look back and be like, man, that was a huge waste of time. Or what did we do in 2 years? I don't know what happened. But then one day we sat down and we looked through all the events, all the posts, all the workshops we ran. And we realized within that 2-year period, we had run hundreds of events and dozens of workshops. And when you were looking back at that, you were like, wow, no, I really built something in that 2 years. So sometimes it's really good to create that tracking so that you can see your progress or you can remind yourself of what you have accomplished.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we hope that when you're thinking about developing either your language or your professional development habits, that you'll keep these laws in mind and you'll look at your own habits and how you can apply the 4 laws. Again, being make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Now, in our next episode, we're going to actually look at what happens when you've developed bad habits or you need to adjust your habits. What are the key things that you can do there?
所以在下一集我们就会来看要如何改掉一些坏习惯。So I really hope you guys learn a lot today, and I really hope you guys could use these 4 laws and start setting some really good habits.
We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.
如果你喜欢我们的 podcast， 欢迎来追踪我们的主管英文 Executive Plus 的 Facebook。那也可以写信到我们的信箱yourcareerplus@gmail.com